Well, hello and welcome to Soap Secrets. Now, we are going to start with Casualty, aren't we, Claire?
Yes, hello, Hannah.
Hello, Claire. So the theme of this week's episode is really all about pregnant mums.
It is. We've got two heavily pregnant ladies. Now, as we saw last week, we met Paige, the new F1 for the ED department, and it's her first day. So last week we saw her come in, and she hadn't actually started. So this week it's her first day, and she has one heck of a ride, lover. And she's taking notes, and she's got one of those pens with a big pink fluffy feather on the top, which I'm sure Dylan will think is a bit frivolous.
Just a bit.
And I'm not sure whether those feathers kind of leak bits, don't they? I'm not sure how that's good around wounds, but anyway. So
Health and safety cap on right there.
Yes. That's me all over. Oh, I'm not sure about that. And it really kind of sums her up. But I think that's a really good bit of whoever sort of like thought about her character. That really sums her up. That pen, and also she's paired with Stevie, and Stevie's a bit no nonsense. And when she first sees Stevie, she calls him her Steve, and thinks that she's male because she's looking for a male doctor,
right,
and doesn't realise that Stevie is actually female. So she's not really doing very well still. But anyway,
no, she's really not.
So this week we have a guest star in the form of Lisa Maxwell.
Yeah, because of course she used to be in the bill, but then more latterly probably known from her stint on Loose Women.
Yes. Yes, So here she is. Now, she is admitted to ED with a nasty ankle fracture that she got during an exercise class.
So there's a motto here. We're in January. Everyone's exercising. You might injure your ankle. So if you're worried about that, maybe stop.
And she plays Alison, an older lady who is heavily pregnant and is acting as a surrogate for her daughter Jasmine.
Oh, wow.
And that's that's really nice of her. And she is heavily pregnant. I mean, she looks like she's going to pop. She's just got this. It looks like she's got a big one of those balls that you sit on for balance. It looks like she's got one of those stuffed up her top.
Probably does, Claire. To be fair,
she's like, I don't know where her centre of gravity is, but she hasn't got one at the moment. And So there she is, and Paige is looking after her, and so Paige is nervous, and she fails to spot that this fall has pushed Alison into labour.
How can you fail to spot that?
So everyone's shouting at her at poor Paige, and this older lady's. Alison knows she's in labour because this is her fifth baby, so she's kind of got she kind of knows what she's doing, and she sort of puts her hand up and says and Paige sort of brushes her off and rushes off, and her fracture, it was a very nasty ankle fracture actually. It was caused by pregnancy osteoporosis, Hannah.
Right, okay. So that means presumably you can't then go through the labour naturally.
No, she needs a C-section because obviously that carries a risk of pelvic fracture, which sounds enormously painful.
It just sounds awful. Not had one, have given birth. The whole thing's miserable.
So by the time her labour is spotted, her labour is advanced, and Stevie and Paige have to deliver in the ED. Of course they do.
Of course they do. Of course they do. I mean, it wouldn't be Casualty if it didn't have some serious drama going on. Okay. But poor old Jasmine, who's Alison's daughter. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how she reacts because it's quite an unusual storyline, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So, daughter Jasmine, she looks like a rabbit caught in the headlights. She's been all really through this pregnancy with her mother, and she's been there, and her mother's really great and said, this is all about Jasmine. What Jasmine wants, we will do with the pregnancy. That's why she was going to the exercise class, and they wanted a water birth, which isn't happening, and she wanted whale music, and Stevie says, "Turn that noise off," in that grumpy voice of Stevie's. so you know, Jasmine feels really marginalised at this point.
Yeah.
And I think she well, it's a difficult thing. Nobody knows what they do when they have their first child. When you've got your second or third, you've sort of done it, haven't you, a bit? So you're not, when you're presented with this tiny baby that,
but
depends
also that you
on
haven't carried, I suppose it's quite different. Your body goes through a process, doesn't it? I mean, it's amazing what's happened, and of course brilliant, but I'm not taking anything away from that. But you are just being given, when you've gone through a birth and the labour and the birth and everything, it's a process to suddenly have this baby, but then just to sort of be handed it.
Yes.
That's, it's kind of different, isn't it?
Yes. So once the baby is born, Stevie says, "So who wants first cuddle?" which is lovely. And Alison says, "No, it's Jasmine's baby." She's so supportive. She says it should be your first cuddle. And Jasmine looks at the baby, looks at everybody, and she runs off. It's all a bit much for her.
Really?
Yes.
So do we think that Lisa Maxwell is here to stay for a bit as Alison?
No. She is just...
It's just a cameo?
Yeah. So will mother and daughter, that is Jasmine and the little baby, be reunited?
Hope so.
Yes.
What other pregnancy stories do we have this week?
So pregnant Paula is back in ED this week as well. So we saw her just before Christmas. Now, fans of Mock the Week, that is my favourite show, Hannah, will recognise comedian Rosie Jones, who plays Paula. And like her character, just to remind you, she has cerebral palsy. So this is the lady that came in with a hurt knee, and that's when Dylan found out she was 7 months pregnant and hadn't had any medical checkups or midwife appointments, and he sort of told her off a bit. So at this point, he informed social services, not knowing her history, and she was really upset about this because social services had already taken a baby away from her. So this is why she was hiding her pregnancy, or is hiding her pregnancy. She's not anymore,
right?
Because she had lost a baby to social services. And so we start the episode. This is, I think, it's quite interesting, this storyline. We see Paula at her flat. Now, she's living on a council estate. It's a bit run down. We do see some fly tipping with mattresses near her flat, and she's struggling a bit, and she gets to her flat with some shopping, and the boys are below kicking a ball around, and she opens her door to her balcony and she shouts at them. Now, she has cerebral palsy, so her speech isn't quite as clear,
crystal
perhaps.
clear.
And they sort of take them, they just ignore her, they're boys and, teenagers. And all of a sudden, her balcony gives way and she falls 3 floors. And luckily she falls onto that's why I mentioned fly tipping, she falls onto the fly-tipped mattress. And it's very, very helpfully put there. And obviously, an ambulance is called, and the boys haven't really understood what was going on, and they suggest that she was drunk and had tried to kill herself.
Well, I mean, I'll presumably very quickly, rule out that she was drunk, because that's not difficult. Yeah. And I suppose it depends on what she can remember if she's knocked herself out in the fall.
Yeah, so she's taking into ED, and Dylan takes over her case. And Dylan, I love Dylan, he's great, but he goes off and relays this information to social services because Di has brought her in, paramedic Di, and she says residents said she tried to kill herself. And before he's even asked her, so now social services are on her case again, and she's getting very distressed. She says, "I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm not trying to kill myself. I shouted at the boys, and her the railing gave way on her balcony, and she fell. So, and then she gets distressed and says she should be in a social services meeting about the baby. And so Dylan does something really nice. I'm not sure whether you're meant to do this. He grabs a cab, puts her in it, and he takes her to the meeting, Hannah.
Oh, okay.
That's very nice, isn't it?
That is good, yeah.
Yeah. But when Paula collapses, she's rushed back and that's when social worker Adith comes to the hospital to see her, and he gives her some bad news. What will Paula do?
God, it's proper drams, isn't it, this week? And so much to talk about.
Yes. That was a really big episode with all these babies. And it's interesting, you've got the surrogate, the mother being a surrogate for her daughter, and then we have Paula back. The social services, it's difficult. She wants to keep her baby. Social services being a bit sniffy. They're not really helping her.
Yeah.
But then they talk about, what happened to her last baby. So there is no winners or losers on that one.
Oh, wow. Well, it's not just a big week in Casualty, it's also a big week in Holby, and also not a new face for Holby, but an old face for us, because Michael Greco joins the cast. Now, he was in EastEnders 20 years ago, and that makes me feel really, really old.
Yes.
But you're going to tell me that he's as handsome as he was then. Are you sure?
Yes,
Are you
he's
sure?
very handsome. He's very, very handsome. And it's really nice to see Michael Greco on TV, because we don't see much of him, because I'm going to call him a keen poker player. I think he plays poker for money.
Wow. He's successful?
Yes. I looked up how much of a pot he's won. So he's quite successful at it. I don't know whether I don't know how long you go on being a professional poker player, but
maybe we should look into it, Claire. Have it as a backup in our back pocket.
I tried playing poker at Christmas, so I had no idea what I was doing. So,
oh, okay. The most we got to was Card in the Hat, and that was it this Christmas. So he plays the part of Anthony, and he's got a son called Harry, and Harry's had an accident playing football, and that's how he ends up in ED.
So he's had a small accident playing football, and this is all very topical. He receives treatment in the ED for his small accident, but actually it's discovered that he has a heart murmur. So this is when we see, there's talk, sometimes teenagers are playing football and they're doing lots of things, and suddenly they collapse because they have an undiagnosed heart issue, don't they? This is quite big in sport. So actually Harry has an undiagnosed heart thing, and luckily his heart murmur is picked up when he has a smaller accident, so he doesn't collapse through his heart, but he needs immediate surgery. And this is just one of those chaotic weeks in Holby, because the heating is broken, so everyone's standing. I can't believe that they would allow heating to break down in hospitals. They're all sitting there with their coats and hats on.
Yeah, I can't, but yeah. Surely there's an emergency number to call in this situation.
Well, Hanson's trying to get hold of the CEO of the heating company. He's not doing very well, and you'd think that you must be a priority.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
So anyway, so there's.
But that is the theme of the week, because everything's in crisis, isn't it?
So so poor Harry is admitted, and it's really nice because Fletch is helping Harry's dad Anthony with his son's impending surgery and how to be a single dad, and in turn Anthony gives Fletch advice which helps him come to a big decision. So that's really good. And don't forget, end of sort of roundabout March time, of course, Holby comes to an end.
Oh no, I know. And that's going to come round very, very quickly.
So this week, of course, Nicky is still failing to bond with little baby Juliet, and she again leaves Amelia, Eli's wife, to deal with her baby. She really is in crisis with this baby. Really. Yeah,
she's just completely off balance, isn't she?
And actually Nicky has had heart issues as well as poor Harry, and she has a massive panic attack in a lift and thinks she's having a heart attack, but Sasha finds her and helps her by blowing in and out of a paper bag, and that calms her down. But really, the whole thing that she is unable to deal with her baby. Where is this going? Where will this end? She has no emotional attachment to this gorgeous, gorgeous little baby. So
I think that's just really sad, isn't it? But again, so identifiable with so many people. But she kind of has. She bails from this quite important operation, and she ends up having a big full-blown panic attack.
Yeah. So nobody actually is spotting any of this, and really, I think if Sasha, when he finds out having a full-blown panic attack, you shouldn't have a doctor having a full-blown panic attack, because they could do that in an operation at any point. They need to be stable. Absolutely. So really, he should really do more than just give her a paper bag.
Yeah. You'd think so. You'd think they sort of know what to do.
And we finally see Sasha and Dom fully repair their relationship when they decide on a research project to work on, and it's on stoma bag problems. And this was the very thing that caused the break in their friendship, because Dom was in that horrific car accident, and Sasha moved him, and it resulted in Dom having this stoma bag, which he has struggled to deal with. So
yeah. Wow. Okay. And
finally,
the finally, Jack. Yes. Wouldn't be an episode of Holby without Jack.
She's given big news this week, but what is it?
Okay.
So.
Yeah, what is it?
I can't give you a clue, but it's very big news.
It's big. Okay, and there's a couple of things that you want to kind of note that we need to keep our eye on.
So Claudia, the woman from Josh's bulimia support group, is blowing up his phone, and while he declines the call, we do have to ask what's going on there. Is she stalking him, Hannah? Is he just not taking the call because he's with a patient? Is he going to cheat on Ange? They don't put these things in for just because they're bored. It's be there for a reason.
No. Yeah, absolutely.
So we have to look out for that one. And then the friendship between Hanson and Russ is moving towards something more substantial? There was a lot of flirty banter over lunch.
Watch this space. New year, new relationship. Until next week, thank you for listening and stay safe.